This is a Tempest TEQ-3302 radio cassette recorder, AM FM radio, and a very disassembled version of it is at the moment, as you can see. There's bits of it all over the place. Anyway, you might also be able to hear in the background a bit of a hum. Okay, now this is with the volume control right down. I'll bring the volume control up.
And yeah, of course it would help, but in the media release it states that the branded milk for Woolworths is less than 5% of total.
So radio's working okay. Now this hums is only present with the mains connected. It is able to work off batteries as well. I'll put the radio on and disconnect the mains, and you'll hear how the filter capacitor is still okay. So this hum is not due to a aging electrolytic filter capacitor. So here we go.
But Shadow Education Minister Tanya Plibersek says it's an admission that funding's been cut.
Today the Prime Minister stood up and admitted cutting funding to Catholic and Independent.
So as you can hear,
funding.
She says the
quite okay without the mains connected. So the question was, where was the hum coming from? And there's only 10 or 20 millivolts of it on the 9-volt supply line coming out of that filter capacitor. That's the filter capacitor, by the way. I better point in the right direction. That's the filter capacitor, 2,200 microfarad. So the hum had to be being amplified by one of the, or at least in the lower stages, from a lower stage to the output stage. So the input to the audio amplifier had to be picking up this hum. Now the IC that it uses for the radio and the audio amplification is this one here, and it's a CXA1191S, and it's made by Sony. So I'll give you a close-up of that area. Just hang on. With a bit more light on it too. This is the one here. Now there is a coupling capacitor between the detector and the input to the audio amplifier, as you would assume, and this is a voltage control audio amplifier, so the audio itself doesn't go through a volume control pot. It goes through a capacitor. At least it used to go through a capacitor. Now that's the capacitor it went through. 33 microfarads. Now I haven't actually got the circuit diagram for this thing, but the generic circuits I got for this IC say that that capacitor should be less than 1 microfarad, in the vicinity of 0.22 or 0.33 microfarads, or even less. But they're using 33 microfarads on this thing. And that's what that was, 33 microfarads at 10 volts. Curiously, there's the negative of the capacitor mark there, but it's in between terminals. It doesn't actually line up with any of the terminals. So it could go in that way and it could go in that way. But it doesn't really matter, because it's the cause of the problem of the hum, which could be a bit confusing, because as you can still hear the hum and it's in my fingers. Well, as it turns out, because it's such a high impedance input to the amplifier, there's enough coupling from the output of the detector to be picking up the audio. So when I turn on this,
partly cloudy in Hobart, a top of 19.
This is without a coupling capacitor. So if I very, very carefully turn this whole assembly, well, and by the way, if I hit the, say, the play button on the tape recorder, I'll just turn the volume down. Listen to how bad the hum gets with the motor running. Alright, so we've shown you what the problem is. So if I now turn this board around, hopefully without shorting anything out, which is getting harder and harder, and put the radio up again. This is where the coupling capacitor used to go across. And if I hold it in there, the buzzes from this fluoro light, which I can't avoid at the moment. There's lots of clicking and popping, and the hum actually gets worse there if I go in either way. It's not really helping. That hum's really bad there, isn't it? So I'll go over to, I'll try and move the light. There we go. That's a little bit less. The only trouble is you can't see it as well now. Anyhow, you'll have to trust me on this. So we get this replacement 33 microfarad, put in the right way, and listen carefully.
Working on an ingenious project to keep the elderly and people with disability mobile. It's a project developing great trousers, pants that have the potential to let people independently, and imagine that has all sorts of knock-on effects, including...
So as you can hear, I'll put the light back on it now, with the capacitor connected, the hum goes. And so what you've got there is a very high impedance point on the input of the amplifier, and with the original capacitor going so close to open circuit, it is open circuit, it's picking up a lot of hum and noise, which is then being amplified and causing the problem, even with the volume control right down. So what I'll do now is I'll replace that with the new capacitor, and at least partially reassemble it and let you hear it then and see what the difference is, and I'll come back to you once I've done all that.
Same number of workers. You know, you see photos of old farms and there's so many workers, they're ploughing fields.
As you can see, it's back together, and there's the volume control at minimum. That's quiet as a mouse. So the repair's been successful. And just to show you how long the filter capacitor holds
to bring
the radio on for, with the mains unplugged.
To do stuff.
I'll unplug the mains
all the time.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Farming's a capital business these days. It employs fewer people than it ever did.
There we go. So it's pretty good. So
employment opportunities, and without a massive,
so that was the fault.
Massive population, country towns can't survive because there's nothing else.
The moral to the story is a voltage controlled amplifier with an open circuit capacitor on the input has got a high impedance point not connected to anything there, and it obviously causes problems. So anyway, I hope that's been of interest to you, and if you ever come across a similar sort of problem, it may be the cause as well. All the best. Bye for now.